What's up? What's up? What's up? Yo, I cannot get over that song. I don't know why.
You love that song. You get lit every single time. I'm glad that's the one we chose.
How did we go about picking that again?
I have no memory of how we came to that one. I just remember there were like 10 different options and we listened to them all like 100 times each. And you just like the blue part.
Yeah, I'm glad we went with that one.
What's up with you? How was your weekend? What's going on? I heard you had a little adulting injury this morning.
Yeah, I tried to do some sprints. Tried to be an athlete, but
A former athlete.
yeah, I was trying to do some sprints on the football field and the hammy just went. So I'm kind of in pain right now, but yeah, I guess that's what happens when you get old and you don't work out as much.
The aches and pains of adulting, literally. Like, why do my knees hurt when it's going to rain? Am I 100? I don't know.
So every time it rains, your knees just start hurting out of nowhere.
Yeah, they literally throb. And I'm like,
You sound like you're a 6-year-old woman.
and I'm like looking at the weather app and it's like rain tonight. And I'm like, okay, great.
Oh, great. My knees are going to hurt. Just have an ice pack ready every time it's going to rain or something.
Yeah. Anyways.
What did you get into this weekend?
Not much. A lot of relaxing, potting, chilling. Yeah, so Jared, this is a very exciting episode for us.
It is. We have our first guest ever on Done With Adulting. It's history.
So for the backstory, thank you to everybody who sent in questions that they would want to ask a financial or like investment advisor. I think one thing Jared and I always talk about is paying bills and just like the entire life of finance as an adult. And there are just so many things that nobody teaches you after going to school for 1,000 years. And then you're just supposed to know these things.
Yeah, you'd think that you would learn that in college or some advanced class in high school, but maybe some people did. And we're just the unfortunate ones who didn't.
Unless you like majored in economics, how would you? I majored in communication. Do you think I took a single class about investing? I didn't. And so did you. Weren't you communications too?
No, I was a business major. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. So you could drop some knowledge for us on this topic, huh?
I have a little insight, but no, I had a communications minor. Were we in any classes?
I don't remember. Probably.
I don't remember either.
I have
That's
like
crazy.
no memory of that at all.
It feels like it wasn't that long ago, but it actually was.
Yeah, it was so long ago because we would have been in classes like earlier during our careers, which it was like 7 or 8 years ago.
That's absolutely crazy.
So we asked what topics you guys would want to talk about. We got a lot of feedback about finance, and then we asked what you would want to ask somebody if we had them on to talk about finance. We appreciate all the feedback, and we're excited to say that we have our first guest here, Mary Louise.
Woo!
Hey, ML.
What's up, ML? How you doing?
Hello, guys.
Some people that listen to our podcast might know who you are, ML, but give us a little intro for the folks who don't know.
All right. Hey, everyone. My name's Mary Louise, also much shorter and easier known as ML. I'm much more fun in real life, but for this episode, for a living, I'm an investment consultant in an asset management firm. So that is a fancy word for I give financial advisors advice on what to do with their investments and their clients' money, all sorts of good stuff like that. Been doing it for 4 years. Can you believe we've been out of college for 5 years? It's also terrifying.
Yeah, that's very scary. 6 years for me, because I was a year above you guys. Jeez.
It's so crazy. And I think one thing that we're excited for ML to be on is because we think it's important for our guests to also be in the same like awkward adulting millennial phase where it's like some things you might have figured out and some things you haven't yet. ML's definitely figured out the finance piece, unlike some other people that are currently on this podcast.
Probably the only thing in adulting I'm knowledgeable about. So anything domestic related should be featured on the next episode.
Yeah, so in your role, you're kind of like behind the scenes, but you're kind of like the brains of like the whole operation, it sounds like?
Yeah. So every day I reach out to at least 60 to 100 advisors. There's a lot going on in the market, which we could get into more detail later, but I basically give advisors advice on what to do with their clients' money, where to invest it, what we're seeing as like a forecast, best budgeting, tax implications, all that good stuff. So that would be the only thing I've actually mastered in my adult life.
And from like a personal standpoint, without exposing your entire wallet, do you feel like you have, since you've been out of college, been able to like work towards your saving goals and your finance goals and your investing goals? Like, do you feel like, because I feel like I'm nowhere even remotely close to where I would like to be, and I don't even know where to start. And I'm wondering if I'm the only one.
No.
No, not at all. Everybody listening too, it's the same way probably.
Yeah.
Don't let them fool you.
I mean, it took a couple years to get going. Obviously, I lived in England and blew my entire wallet. But after that, I came back and decided it was probably important to start saving money and budgeting. So I definitely wouldn't say I've reached my goal financially, but I'm getting there.
That's dope.
Yeah, when you first, I guess, came back from England, like what was like the first things you were doing to get yourself started or going?
Well, I would just say 3 things that I knew were taking wallet share immediately were reducing the number of subscriptions and recurring payments. So like
oh my God, yes.
There's like so many of those.
Think about all of those iPhone apps, or like the other day I found out I was paying $4 a month for this premium version of a meditation app. Have you guys heard of Headspace?
Yeah.
I have not.
But I was paying an extra $4 a month. I completely forgot, and I hadn't used it in years. Like just things like that.
I probably have like a million of those things.
Exactly. And those definitely add up. Also, things that you think about, Spotify, Netflix, I would highly suggest utilizing the family versions of those. So think about like Spotify, for example. If you use it on your own, you spend $10 a month. But if you have the family plan, you can share it with 6 people, so you're only paying $2 a month. Just little tricks to the trade like that will definitely end up adding up throughout the year.
And then everybody obviously adds on to Netflix. Like I have like 13 people on one Netflix account that I could think of on the top of my head. Yeah, I feel like that's common practice.
So we should just steal our friends' Netflix and Hulu subscriptions and start there.
Everybody go in together.
Also, like, I don't know, my girlfriend used to have this monthly apparel subscription called Fabletics.
Yeah, Fabletics, love them.
No, it's terrible. It's literally the bane to it's the reason why millennials can't buy homes, are these monthly subscriptions that you don't remember you have. Like, she was getting these like shoes in the mail over and over again, these like workout yoga pants that she didn't even need, and it was taking $4 a month from her wallet. And I was like, you do not need this.
Wait, so how many sneakers does she have by the end of it? Jesus.
We had to Marie Kondo a few a couple weeks ago because they were just piling up in the closet. But
oh my gosh.
That is a good point, though, because there are like so many things that you just totally forget about, and it could just be taken away from your bank account, and you might not even know where this money's going to, but it's just not in your account anymore.
Exactly.
I feel like I have a million more questions, Amel. That was such a great start. I'm like trying to look around for my phone to find out how I can see how many subscriptions I have and how to cut them off. But I also feel like I really want to talk about, I think that it's easy to be conscious, like, okay, this is what my budget is for the month. This is what I want to spend on groceries or whatever, or food. And then on Thursday, a random work happy hour pops up. On Saturday, you originally didn't have any plans, but then someone invited you to celebrate someone else's birthday. So like, how do you balance that? And like, am I just going to have to be a hermit until I have enough savings account? Like I don't want to put any more on my credit card. It's like, how do you balance that?
Totally. Well, I read a book that Elizabeth Warren wrote, basically saying the rule of thumb should be the 50-20-30 plan. So that would mean 50% of your income is allocated to necessities, 20% to sort of a long-term savings, whether you're saving for a fun wedding like you are, or a house, and the 30 will go to lifestyle choices. So I wouldn't, it'd be way too much of a project to balance that out throughout the year, but maybe to try once or twice a month, you look at what you've made for the month and see if that's sort of been balanced out in almost the 50-20-30 way as much as possible. Does that make sense?
No, it definitely makes sense. I've heard of it before, but it's just very hard to try and stick to it.
Also, buy your wine at Trader Joe's.
Oh yeah. I thought it was like $7 or it's $2.
Yeah, so long story short, this family who owned a winery, they got in a very nasty divorce, and the dad, just to spite the mom, didn't want her to own the winery, so he sold it to Trader Joe's for free.
Wow.
And now Trader Joe's made the promise that they'd always keep their wine under like $5.
But is it good wine?
It's amazing. It's so good.
Wine is wine.
No, I'm bougie. I need good tasting wine.
Oh my
It's better than
goodness.
the bag Franzia that we had in college, and that's always an upgrade.
That's very true.
I have nightmares about that.
So that's one thing I'm definitely gonna remember. Trader Joe's wine.
But about the friend thing, I know it's impossible to say no to outings. Maybe we can try, we can do this as a friend group, Asia, just have more at-home gatherings instead of like all the brunches we have. They're just as fun. Stay home, cook, and drink wine in-house is much less expensive than going out all the time.
That's crazy. Like the trajectory that we're going to. Like at first we started off partying in college, then started doing the bars and the clubs, and then now we're just going to start doing house stuff. Like it's so crazy.
It is crazy. And the other, like for me personally, I feel like getting more specific, I feel good about my credit number, but just because my credit number is good doesn't mean I'm still not in a lot of debt. I just think I do well paying on time. So now I'm like trying to get this credit card debt down and save at the same time for something long-term. Maybe I have 2 savings, one for a wedding, one for a house, and this big old credit card bill and student loan. It's like, I feel like with all these different channels of things that I have to pay off versus things I have to save, like what should you be prioritizing? Should I be prioritizing my savings account or paying off my credit card, or should I just pay the minimum? Like, I don't know.
Never pay the minimum. Never pay the minimum.
I never pay the minimum either. I pay as much as I can to it. Like I pay as much as I can to it every time I get paid. And then I think to myself, should I just tone this back a little and put more in my savings? Because I just feel like my savings account is on E.
No, the answer to that is pay off your debt. Student loans are a different thing because those are absolutely impossible that we are definitely fortunate enough to not be going through. But credit card debt is the number one thing that can pile up. So in my opinion, I think you should pay off your credit card in full every month just because interest payments on outstanding balances can actually kill you.
Yeah. What if some of us are past the point of paying in full?
If you're paying the bare minimum and have an $8,000 outstanding balance on your credit card, you're paying upwards of $200 a month in interest payments. That's
like your payment,
a fourth of rent. Yeah. So if my advice would be, if you have some in your savings account, pay your entire credit card balance off because it will definitely pay off in the long run.
And then cut the credit card in half.
Definitely do that.
Well, I would compare credit card to like a Hinge date. Like they want you to pay attention to you, but not that much attention. Like because you have to build your credit, and you can utilize credit cards to get points and save money and cash back and all those things. But if you have trouble paying it off every month, then at the same time, you can get yourself in trouble.
So in Asia's case, she's saying that what if it's like too much to pay off monthly? How do you feel about getting another credit card and transferring that debt over to like an interest-free, like periodical type deal? Does that hurt the credit at all, or?
Totally, yeah. Consolidating debt is definitely important. Even with student loans, people like interest rates are the lowest they've been in almost 5 years. So if you can either refinance for a lower interest payment or refinance your credit card debt or student loan debt, that's always helpful.
Got to look for another credit card.
Why is the interest the lowest it's been in 5 years?
Do we want to get into that macroeconomic dry detail or
the dummy answer?
Okay, so long story short, the economy is slowing. Consumers are spending less. So, in order for the government to keep up with the economy slowing down and earnings decelerating, they have to, it's called quantitative easing, where they lower the interest rate. so so that means there's more money stimulating the economy and people can spend more to keep up with a growing economy.
That's understandable, definitely.
Are the fans still listening? They're like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, they're like, fuck this.
But no, they have these same questions though. We're getting the questions from the people. So hopefully they're still tuned in. Wait, so I have a question. So like I know a good amount about 401k, but obviously you always can know more. What are your thoughts on like how much you should contribute to a 401k if your company has one, or if your company doesn't, maybe go over to your like personal IRA or anything like that? What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, what should our percentage be?
I would say rule of thumb is between 10 and 15%.
What?
If your company can match up to a certain percentage, definitely do that percentage.
That's the least you should do because it's free. It's free money.
10 for our age is probably a good amount. But the catch-22 is the earlier you invest for retirement, the faster the money grows. It's called like compounding interest.
Yeah, it grows faster, right?
Exactly. I know, it's tough. It's tough to contribute that much because then you have to budget, like you have to lower what your spending is right now. But definitely a tough question.
So I've also read an article. It was something in regards to millennials because obviously like everything's about millennials nowadays, and it's saying that good amount of millennials are actually taking money out of their 401k or taking a loan against it. I know like when you take money out of it, it's like a 10% penalty, and then you have obviously taxes you got to pay on it. But like, how do you feel about people doing that?
Yeah, I heard people do that, Jared, and use that money to like for a down payment or something.
Yeah, some people use it for down payment. Some people use it to pay off debt. Like, I feel like a lot of people, like a lot of millennials, at least people around our age, are like, I see my older family still working. Like, we're never going to retire. Like, it's either we're not going to retire, we're not even going to be alive to when we retire. You could have died before then. So, like, I might as well get to the money now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
What are your thoughts on that?
You guys are asking great questions. A life hack: if you're saving up for a house, put a small percentage of that into an IRA. Reason being, IRAs allow up to $10,000 to be withdrawn penalty free for the down payment of your first house.
Oh, shoot. Say it again for the people in the back. Can you repeat that? I think that's a good fact.
That's a jewel right there.
So an IRA, not a 401ks do not do this. IRAs allow for up to $10,000 to be withdrawn for the purchase of your first home without a penalty. Taking a penalty on a loan from your 401k, that is a major no-no.
So me and Bay got this savings, right, for a house. Should we just take it all out of where it is and put it in an IRA, or only put some of it, or what?
Yeah, because the savings account's not like adding any value to your money in there, right? Or there's no interest being.
Depends what your risk tolerance is. So savings accounts are getting around 2.25% per year on interest. But if you put in an IRA, invest in the stock market going back 40 years has returned an average of around 9%.
Yeah, the savings accounts are trash.
So it depends on your risk tolerance, but maybe split that up, a portion in IRA, a portion in savings account.
Do you know anything about money markets?
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. It can be synonymous to a savings account, but if that's definitely better than just keeping it in cash. Obviously, because inflation's around 2% right now. So if you're just keeping it in a checkings account that's not earning any interest, you're essentially losing money, which is scary to think about.
Because you're not taking it out, it's just sitting there and not gaining any value. That's crazy.
Am I like the only one that is like really feels like they're in class, like learning something right now? Or like, does everyone else know these facts already? Or
I know a little bit, but she's definitely dropping some jewels. So hopefully it's helping out for the people listening.
Wow, you guys are making me feel so smart. Thanks.
Mel, there was before we get into the investing questions that I have, because I have several, there was an article on Wall Street Journal that I'm going to post on our website where it talks about how millennials are like the worst we are in the worst financial situation of any other generation. And
I don't think I'll laugh at that.
it says new data is showing that we're in the worst financial shape than every preceding living generation and may never recover. That sounds very dire. And it makes me think like we could do all these tricks and stuff, but like, is it going to be enough? Like, how long am I going to have to wait before I can buy something? I don't understand.
So I'll give you guys a quick timeline. It's not really it's probably half our faults. One, because we were 16, 17 when the financial crisis hit us. So going into college, we had to play like pretty much a catch up. But also at the same time, we enjoy experiences way more than our parents do.
Those are facts.
I read an article that concert prices have quadrupled since 1990. So that's cool.
And people are still paying for them.
Still buy them anyways. Like, I'll pay $300 for a Riri any day.
And then you have these like festivals too. Like you have these new experiences, like these large festivals that you can like go to another country and experience. And people are taking advantage of it. So,
and all at the same time, especially in Boston, home prices have been on the rise for the last 4 or 5 years. So it is almost impossible to get a good deal for a home.
Have you heard the term house poor or house broke?
I don't think so, but I can probably assume what it is.
What would your guess be? I just heard it recently.
My guess would be you spent all your money on a down payment and now you're living like an absolute homeless person because all of your money is tied up in the house.
Ding, ding, ding.
Well, how do we avoid that?
Don't spend all your money on a house.
Yeah, so it's like, even if I get enough money for a down payment, it's still not tied because I need a little bit extra to survive after that.
Agreed. Well, the good news is, I'll tell you a myth that you really do not have to put 20% down to buy a house.
Facts.
Yeah, can't you put like 5?
Yeah, if you put under 20%, you have to pay an extra something a month called an FHA loan, basically meaning they are under the understanding that you aren't as rich as the people that can put 20% down, so you have to pay a little bit extra per month to the mortgage.
Are you talking about PMI? That's PMI, right?
PMI, yeah, not FHA.
Yeah.
You guys are literally talking about acronyms, and I feel like I need a glossary.
Hey, I don't even know what PMI means. I just know what PMI is. So I don't know.
I'm like, TMI? What are you talking about? Jared's like, yeah, he has no idea what it means. He's like, don't you mean PMI?
I have no idea what that means, but I know what it means. I know what it means. I don't know what it stands for.
Yeah, Jared, you're much more of an adult than me and Asia are. Haven't you gotten married already? Haven't you already bought a house?
No. I just got married like a week ago. No.
Congrats, by the way. Also, thanks for the invite.
Oh, I mean, hold on, listen. The marriage episode is going to drop. Just listen to that one. There's so much going on. Yeah, so much going on.
Good. I don't know a damn thing about preparing for that.
That's tough. But no, we got married, but now we're actually starting to look for like housing and things like that, and it's very draining and scary just to think of everything.
In Massachusetts is so expensive. Like,
yeah,
it's like,
exactly. That's why I don't even want to be up here. I'm like, yo, let's go further south. It's so much cheaper. But when you go further south, you don't make as much money as you do. So it kind of balances out. But hey.
Okay, Mel, this is like the biggest, scariest monster to me when it comes to adulting is investing. And I have many questions, but I feel like maybe you could just start with like investing 101, like really dumb it down for the dummies that are on Asia's level that are like, okay, I literally have no idea where to start. I know nothing about it. What's like the first 3 steps I can take to start investing in a smart way?
Absolutely. So let's start with the age rule. So this one's easy. 100 minus your age. So that amount should be in stocks and the remaining amount should be in bonds or money market accounts.
What?
100 minus my age. Can you say that again,
Example,
please?
if you're 30 years old, you do 100 minus 30. That amount should be in stocks. So 70% should be invested in stocks, 30% in bonds or savings or money market accounts.
70% of what?
I need to write this down.
70%. If you're saving money and want to invest it, that's like a good rule of thumb.
Okay, so 70% of whatever amount you have to save and or invest.
Whatever your age is. So if you're 40, that means 60%.
Oh yeah, whatever my age is.
You said I should go to bonds first or stocks first?
I am not here to give you those recommendations, but that is that's a very good place to start. And like it's impossible to pick and choose each stock that you think will perform well, especially in an environment like this. So a bunch of my friends have actually gone to a brokerage account. So if you're looking for a cheap way for someone to do it for you, Betterment is a robo-advisor and they have like no account minimums, really, really low fees, and they just do all the work for you.
I was going to ask you that. There's so many apps out there and like investment apps and savings apps that you see on wherever you get your apps. And it's like, are those things real? Can I just give my money to a robot and not do the work? But also, is that the lazy way out? Because I probably should be knowing where my money's going.
Yeah, I mean, one place I've noticed that my friends like, Betterment, that is like that robo-advisor. They have no account minimums, a really low fee, and they can explain what they're investing with you. So they build out what it's called like an ETF portfolio, and they let you know exactly what you're investing in, where your money's going, and good stuff like that.
Yeah, because I've heard even stories like if you go to even people who do like investments, like you just give them your money and they really don't talk to you that much. They just put your money in the market and try to do whatever they can do with it, and then just give you your gains or your losses. And then you're like, if it's a big loss, you're like, wait, so what happened? Is that a risk that you think is worth taking, or?
Right. Yeah, that's tricky. I mean, the unfortunate issue is the more you'll get better advice with the higher account balances. So that's a situation none of us have the pleasure of experiencing right now. But I can always help out with any questions if you have it, Jared.
Definitely. I'm about to text you nonstop, like, yo, where should I put this at? Where should I put that at?
So Amel, but would you say investing is like the best way to make to make money in a short amount of time, like to make an extra income flow, I guess?
Totally. So, like as I said, going back 40 years, the S&P 500, which is like a measure of the stock market, that's returned an average of 9% annually. So think about it in real dollar terms. So if you invested $5,000 one year, you made an average of $450 that year in return. So I don't know. Isn't that enough money to pay for every single late night McDonald's trip we've ever made in college?
I don't know. That doesn't sound like that much to me. I don't know.
We ate a lot of late night McDonald's, so the comparison is questionable. However, I do get what you're saying.
It's much better than like making a very risky bet on putting all your money in one stock,
Sure.
because there's a lot of downside that is associated with it.
No, that does make sense. This is not a lot of knowledge being dropped on this episode.
Yeah, my mind is like mind blown. And then obviously we talked a little bit about budgeting and the 50-30-20 rule and cutting out our unnecessary subscriptions, but what are some other like top 3 basic things someone could do to improve their budgetings and not overspend or try not to overspend?
So I would say creating like a realistic budget you can actually stick to. So think of it kind of like a diet. Like if you go just on a complete diet and you take away every single thing that you enjoy, it's not going to be sustainable, right? Like you have to at least just chip away at one thing at a time. So one thing I did was for this month, I'm going to try and buy Starbucks just once a week on Mondays when I'm miserable, Monday morning. And then the other 4 days, I'm going to do like the, I don't know, Nestle quick coffee or whatever, the much cheaper version. But that's just one thing. You can pick one thing a week that you can chip away at that you think you spend way too much money on. But don't try and take everything away all at once.
Because it's not realistic, right?
So, like, if you're somebody who's going out 3 times a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, if you are still able to do that, props to you.
I was about to say, are people already still doing that?
Some people on my Insta are out in these streets, okay? So we should take it down to like 1 night a week or 2 nights a week. That would be a good start.
Yeah, that's some good advice for me too. But I also love the restaurant deals, like especially because Massachusetts doesn't have happy hours, which is just a tragedy.
Super trash.
Yeah.
That's one thing I hate about up here.
I know. We have to stick to the food deals though. Like Monday night at Loco, they have dollar oysters. You can only spend like $12 in one night if you wanted to. Food deals are always a good thing to keep an eye out on. But yes, if you can minimize it to 2 nights a week or even 1.
I remember like by Stonehill, there was a couple places with like 25-cent or 50-cent wings. I miss that so much.
I miss that so much. Yeah, but even then it felt expensive because if you can you imagine that? Think about how poor you feel like literally right now. And then think about how poor we actually were. And it amazes me that I even made it this far.
I hit a new low one time when I was in the car at Stonehill and I was digging for quarters to try and pay for a Four Loko.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that's why I knew I could probably get my life.
That's hilarious.
So think of that in perspective. We have come a long way, guys.
We have.
Yeah, but it still feels like I'm broke as a joke.
Because you're saving a lot. You're putting money aside to pay for things. So
yeah.
So what about for like the people out there who are struggling with like student loans and things like that? I remember earlier you said consolidating it. Is there like certain avenues you can go to do that? And exactly what does that do? Does this drop your interest rate or?
Yeah. So 2 things I would recommend. 1, refinancing. So as I said, rates are at extremely low levels. So if you graduated in like, let's say 2017 or older, so 16, 15, there's no doubt that you can refinance for a lower monthly payment. A couple of good companies that do it are Earnest, SoFi, Citizens, First Republic. They've all done it successfully, and those will lower your monthly payments. But another trick I usually do, just to save money and pay off debt in a lump sum, is if you get quarter or year-end bonus payments, pretend like you were only given half of that amount. So
yeah, I do that.
Let's say you're given $1,000 bonus at the end of the year. Pretend like you were only given $500, and the other $500 should be, if you're having trouble paying down your debt, paying that in a lump sum.
I'll be putting my entire bonus to my credit card. The entire thing. Every last penny.
I feel like when you get the bonus though, like you get the check, you know what it's supposed to be, and then you get the check, and then the taxes just kill it. And I'm like, oh my God. Like you should have just kept this. Because don't they tax bonuses at a higher percentage, or am I making that up?
Yeah, they do.
Super trash.
They tax bonuses is at the highest maximum taxable amount.
Super trash. If you work in the government and you're listening, help us out. help a brother out. Help a brother and a sister out.
No, but I did hear that about budgeting. Like if you get any unexpected money, like whether it's bonuses or you won $500 on a scratch ticket because you're really lucky, that would be something that happens to Amel. She's like the luckiest person ever. But if you get that type of money, like I feel like your first inkling is to be like, oh, this is about to be my spending money for something that I wanted to do and couldn't do, where you can make a different decision. Like instead of going out and spending it, you could put it somewhere else.
Yeah, you got to be smart.
Yeah, you have to be disciplined, but at the same time not making your life miserable where you're not having any fun. Have some inexpensive fun.
Oh man, what does that mean? Walking around the city and looking at sights? What is inexpensive fun?
Well, think about you with your new dog, Sophia. She's brought you some inexpensive joy, going for walks and
I bet you she's also expensive though.
She's dumb expensive. Yo, that's actually what I was gonna say. If you have a pet, or if you're thinking about getting a pet, and that pet is like a bigger monthly bill for you than like a student loan bill or something, which mine is, there's a serious issue. You probably don't need a pet. And the fucking thing about pets is once you have them, you love them and you can't get rid of them. But
it's like a baby, no? It's pretty much a baby.
It is.
Yes, they're so expensive. It's like, talk about unnecessary expenses. Don't let Terrence hear this. He's going to be like, I've been telling you this for a year.
He's so defensive. Sophia's great, okay?
Well, no, he was the one that was like, you don't understand. Like, you are not going to be able to afford this dog. And I was like, you don't understand. I'm getting this dog anyways. And so now every time there's an expense, he's just like shaking his head like, see, look at you.
I told you so.
Look at you. He's like, look at you.
Yeah, I don't have any pets, and I think it's for that reason.
Neither does Jared. Jared doesn't even like animals.
I do. I like dogs. I just might not like yours. Though.
No, you don't. You don't like dogs because every time you see I have 2 dogs, you're like, can you get away from me, please?
Yeah. Like, you don't gotta be on top of me all the time. It's okay for a little bit, but not all the time. Like, can I have my space?
That's why you don't have a dog.
Jesus. But no, this is great. This is some great information.
Yeah, I missed one fun tip about also that will help you budget is to go quote shopping. So what I mean by that is like car insurance, for example. Like people pay upwards of $200 a month for. Asia, do you pay car insurance on yours?
Not me. I have Geico. I pay a low 75.
Wow, that's
75.
awesome.
That's lower than mine, and I never did anything.
Yeah, so every couple months, just check if there's another car insurance company that can give you a lower rate. Like Asia said, you can save 15% or more with Geico. Hopefully once you guys make it big on your podcast, they can pay me for saying that.
We need a check.
Yeah,
we always say it. We've actually shouted out multiple things. What was the other one? Betterment? Let me write them too.
But like insurance companies want your business. So there's ways to negotiate saying that your other car insurance company pays this amount if they can do lower. Like that's always possible.
That is very true. But I feel like some people just don't want to spend that energy and just going around looking for other things.
I was going to say, negotiating and shopping around is a whole nother aspect of adulting that I'm just like, ew.
Especially weddings. Oh my God. Either Rent the Runway is so much cheaper than buying dresses, or like Amazon. Just make sure we're looking in multiple places. It's worth it.
Big facts. I've seen a couple of Rent the Runway dresses. They're actually very nice.
My problem with shopping around is like, maybe someone can tell me if this is a millennial thing, but like, I want to talk to as minimal amount of people as possible. Like thinking about talking to 7 different representatives from 7 different companies on the phone makes me nauseous. Maybe if I could see and compare the prices online, I'll do the research. But if I have to call,
it's more convenient, right?
Talk to somebody,
it's not as convenient to talk to them.
Don't want to. I will likely just go with the first person because the idea of calling a second person is gonna just make me flip out.
He's just gonna be like, "Do you have text message?
Can we text about this? Because
just so unprofessional."
Oh my God.
That is one thing. I think that's one thing that millennials are like looking forward to, is just the convenience of everything, rather than trying to go out there and, I guess, put in the extra effort. But when it is more convenient, people are willing to spend more money on certain things.
Totally. And I would say my biggest expense is having FOMO.
You are the queen of FOMO.
Oh, I have the worst FOMO.
You invented FOMO.
You're like, oh no, I have to be there.
It's bad. If you don't have FOMO, you're probably saving a lot of money.
I never have FOMO. When people tell me they have FOMO, I'm like, don't know what that feels like. I'm like,
never felt that before.
I might look at something happening and be like, oh, that looks fun, but I don't get the feeling of like, I really wish someone invited me to this. I actually am like, this looks really fun. I'm glad they did this. And I'm also glad that I am where I am currently.
And Asia will be like that one person, if you ask them to do something, they'll just say, nah, instead of coming up with like a fun excuse.
Why lie? Why lie?
Yeah, exactly. It's better than excuses.
Why lie? I just don't want to go.
Like, yeah, apple picking with me yesterday. You're like,
I said no because Terrence, you said you and Terrence should come apple picking with us, and I said Terrence is out of town.
okay, that doesn't mean we can't go.
Oh, I didn't want to.
Exactly.
No FOMO at all.
Yeah, so no FOMO.
But your pictures were so cute. It looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Amel, give us like the last.
Yeah, the last big piece of advice that would make us all millionaires. Where's the bag, and how do we obtain the bag?
Yeah, Jared's question was where's the bag and how do I get it? Like, mostly what I'm saying is we didn't talk much in detail about home buying, but I think we can elaborate on that in another episode. But I really just want to say, like, if there's anything we didn't touch on, like some major message that you were trying to get across today to help all millennials out there live their best financial life, like, what would you leave us with?
I would say just one, to not let it consume you, because that's also enough to give people an anxiety attack. But there's always places, I would just recommend to always be mindful of places you can chip away or cut your costs. I think we covered pretty much everything.
What was the name of that app again? Betterment?
Betterment.
Yeah.
I'll put it down on the Google sheet. No worries.
There you go.
Yeah, we're going to have to put it we'll put a link in the show notes to it.
I also have to say I'm honored to be your first guest.
Yeah, it's history.
Yeah.
For the people who don't know, ML
problem when you're famous from this podcast in like 2 months.
2 years maybe.
2 more months. No, 2 years was the correct statement. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do between now and 2 years. Like, I need something.
It takes a great deal of entrepreneurship to start a podcast, and there's no better combination to do it than with you two clowns. So I'm proud of you.
For the people who don't know ML, she's an absolute legend. So hit her up on Insta. What's your plug your Insta?
ML Dixon. Really complicated.
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
At ML Dixon.
Thank
Mary
you.
Louise.
Shout out. Wow, I'm honored.
Wait, Dixon CK or Dixon with an X?
With an X. Hard X.
But no, thank you, ML. Thank you so much for coming in, dropping.
Thanks, Mary.
We definitely appreciate you.
You guys are legends.
We appreciate it.
You're the bomb. We appreciate it. Everyone follow ML on Insta. We've so enjoyed having you here today.
Totally. And go Pats.
We got to cut that one out. All right, y'all. It's time for our new favorite segment, the Millennial Shoutout.
Woohoo!
Yeah, if anybody here is listening and has a better name for this segment, please let us know, because we sure cannot come up with a better name than just the Millennial Shoutout. But hey,
and you can never remember that name for whatever reason,
because it's just so bland. I feel like it should be something else. It should be like Millennial Brand Shoutout.
Okay, well, maybe you can fucking think of it. All right, why don't you think?
We've been trying. We've been trying to think of it, and we haven't thought of anything better than the Millennial Shoutout. So that's why I'm asking the people. So, like I said, if anybody who's listening, if you guys have a better name for this segment, please let us know.
Unreal. DM us.
Yeah, so who do we have this week?
We are shouting out Infinite Arrows. It is a wooden home decor company, handcrafted by the one and only Sabrina Siciliano. She's dope. She does woodworking. She does it all on her own and works her 9 to 5. And her brand is based off the meaning of the arrow, which basically means like when life's pulling you back, it will launch you forward into something like better. Even though I didn't know the arrow had a meaning until I found out about this company, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you and I both. But no, it's actually really, really dope though. And like we went on her Instagram, and her work is dope. A lot of home decor stuff like that. But she's also working to spread the message, to like focus and like keep aiming forward and getting what you want out of life. So she has a positive message. Everything is handmade. It's wooden signs, wall art, candle holders. You could do even cornhole. Wow, I'm blanking on the name. coasters. almost actually, I was like, what's the thing that you put your drinks on top, like so you don't want to get your coffee table stains?
Coaster, yes, that's correct.
Coasters, yes. Yeah, handmade wooden coasters. Whatever you need, whatever you want. It's wooden, handmade. She's really dope.
I've seen her stuff in some of my friends' homes, and it always looks dope every single time. So,
yeah, where can we get the information at?
Yeah. Follow them on Insta at infinite_arrows. INFINITE_ARROWS. And she's on Etsy. I think her Etsy link is in the Infinite Arrows Instagram. Or you can email to find out more at infinitearrowsdecor@gmail.com.
Yeah, I thought you were going to actually like spell out the whole email, and I was about to be like, please don't do that.
Oh my gosh, I was just doing it for Instagram because some people have zeros.
That was a lot smaller. The email was kind of long. I was like, oh no. But yeah, go check out Infinite Arrows. Sabrina, former Assumption basketball player. Dope people.
Yeah. This would actually also be the end of the episode. Should we just do the closing?
We should keep that in.
Should we keep that part in or out?
Let them get a sneak preview into the behind the scenes of Done with Adulting.
So you guys need to head to our page and click subscribe and leave us a rating, write us a review.
Yeah, and on Instagram, Done with Adulting Pod. We definitely love to hear from you. Your opinion matters. All right, have a good one. Peace out.